Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing today? It's cold out here. Woke up this morning, it was -1 degree. Now it's probably about 10. So, well, I got a new one today. It's not looking good for it. It's a Stihl ms250. And I'll bring you down and show you here in just a minute. But I tried to pull it over, and it's pulling over really hard, even with the clutch off and with the spark plug out of it. So here we go. We're going to pull it apart and we're going to see what's going on with it and let the feller know, just to see what it's like. No. And you're falling. Let's pick you back up just a little bit. That's a little too much, baby. Nope, not enough. That's a little bit better. Okay, here we go. First off, take these plugs out. And I hate taking these things out because I usually end up jamming myself. They're not all that bad. Sometimes they're stuck pretty hard. Sometimes they're not stuck hardly at all. You can do it with a screwdriver. You can get it up there. And as soon as I find it, what I do them, there they are. You can take your pair of needle nose pliers and push right in there like that. Works better if they're turned the other direction, but you get in there and you just open them up as you go and then pry them open. This one, the AV mount's pushed down a little further, so it's going to be a little harder, but we'll get her. Had it going our way. Yeah, if I can hold it on the table, I'm gonna have to start putting these things on a vise or something. Make me a vise for them, just to take these things out. Yeah, I lost it. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Ouch. My thumb still hurts from the other day when I jammed it into that felling dog. Feels better than it did, but it still hurts. Okay, let's see if we can get it underneath that. Oh, we're getting there. Oh no. Wished it hadn't done that. Sometimes you just got to use your entire body. The AV mount's coming out with it. That's a good thing sometimes. And there we go. These are kind of tough. And on this one, you got to pull this little chain guide off like that. And you get up underneath of it, you give it a little pull. If you notice, I pulled the felling dog off of it this time. That one hurt too much. Lesson learned. It's the first time I've ever done that, but it was enough. See, that's all those things look like right there. Can you see that okay? There's a screw underneath each one of those. And I believe there's one more. Yep, there is. There's two of them you got to get out up here. You got to pull one off of one side and one off the other of the same one. Ooh, it came out easy. I like that. And they're smaller. If you look at that. There's one on each side of that particular AV mount. And they're small. You can't mess them up. Now I've already pulled the muffler off this so I could look and see what the cylinder looked like. Here, I'll show you what I saw when I see all that good blackness there. That's all the way down below the rings. Let me get you some light going on here. See all that good blackness going on underneath that ring? That's just terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It's just a little 250. But, you know, if you had to go buy it, the things are kind of expensive. Let's try to get that off of there real quick. They're kind of expensive anymore. Everything's gone up in price some bad. It's just ridiculous. More than likely, we're going to end up going with the aftermarket on this, just because the Stihl parts are so expensive that it's not worth doing anything with the saw, unfortunately. So that should be everything. Okay. Tearing everything up here. And then there's two down here at the base. They're short. You got to watch that, because when you go to put them back in, they're quite a bit shorter. Make sure they go back in the same spot. They're hard to mess up because they've got much finer or much heftier teeth there. And I should have everything off of there. Take that off. Let's put that underneath here for now. And now, I don't think I'm going to take the handle off. I don't think so. But I am going to take this handle off. This one takes a Phillips screwdriver. Come right up underneath it here. It's one screw. Yeah. Maybe. Well, let me see something here, because it looks like somebody has. Well, that one wasn't Phillips. Usually they're Phillips heads right there. Oh well. Learn something new every day, huh? I've already taken the mechanism off of here. Now, when you go to take these off, they're super simple. They're hooked up in here like this. If you just pull that trigger forward, take a screwdriver and hook up underneath of it and just pop it right out of there, and then unwind it off of there. And then these have a choke one as well that fastens in right here. There's a little hole, I mean, to where I can see it here. There's a little hole right here that goes in. This wire is over here. Hang on a second, my finger's too big. So if you take and turn this right here, just right to the right angle, just take a pair of needle nose pliers and grab a hold of it, and it pulls right out. You don't have to force anything. It looks like you do, but you don't. So anyway, okay, here we go. Let's pull this out of here. That hooks up underneath the here right there. It's got little hooks on it. Hooks up underneath, and that's all we need to do there. And then I'm going to pull this off because I got to clean it anyway. Let's get that down up underneath there. That just pulls up on one side and pulls out on the other, and that comes right out. Now this thing's half full of gas, so I may have to go pull the gas out of it. But right now, oh, what do we got going on here? We just got one AV mount holding it. Now these AV mounts, they're a little tricky because you got to get up underneath of it and push it through there. And sometimes when the rubber is hard, it fights you pretty good. Now you can take it from either direction. I always take it this way. I don't know why, I just do. But you just get it curled, get it down. Just get it curled up underneath of there and force it through there. Sometimes it works better than others. Sometimes I fight with them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're easy. Just make sure you're not using a sharp screwdriver to do this. Well, I may go the other way with that one just because. No, I'm not either. Yeah, let's go this way with it. Just to see if we can get it peeled out of there. There we go. That's better. Got that one. Okay, now we're just going to take this carburetor out of here. And this is where, if you don't have any of these little things, hemostats, get you some, because they work wonders. Wonderful. Because you can pinch off those fuel lines so you don't have fuel shooting all over the place. And you just always push your fuel lines off. Don't pull them off. Always push them off. So then you can just pull that right down there out of the way. Pull that little carburetor right on off of there. You can see this all come apart. It's actually broke a little bit and come apart. Somebody's already taken the needle valves out. Oof, carburetor's nasty. So now we got that. It's all broke, nasty. And then there's a little metal piece underneath of here with a gasket on it. Take that up off of there. We'll buy new gaskets for it and put it on. It's just a little thing. Some of them have a rounder plate with this instead of having this ring built onto the plate, it's just a ring you stick into the middle of that bushing right there. So those are the fun ones. And you can see right there the way that looks. That carburetor pushes up against that, and that's the impulse line right there. So we'll have to check all that out, make sure the impulse line's good and all that. And then we're going to take, and I think I'm going to go ahead and push this through first. We'll take and push this little grommet here through for your wires. And then we're going to take and push these through, push this through, just curl it and push it with your fingers. Help it out with the screwdriver. Don't push with the screwdriver, just help it with the screwdriver. And then you can pull that right on off of there as soon as I get the fuel line loose. AV mount's messing with me here. Give me just a second here. What do we got? Okay, I got a nice little thing here. It's just a little rubber cone. Clean it up a little bit. A little rubber cone. You just stick it right in the end of that. Give it a little twist to get it as deep as you can in there. It doesn't have a hole in the middle of it, so it gas won't come out of it. So that brings that off. Now I've got something holding me over here. As soon as I figure out what it is, shouldn't be anything other than that. Wire. But something's got a hold of me. And I don't know what it is yet. There shouldn't be anything else holding that. There we go, it's just being stubborn, all. So walk all that, get the wire up out of there. Wire caught on everything on the way out. Okay, I may have to pull that hose off of there to get that through there. Yep. Yep, now I did it. Now I got it stuck. Yep. Where's my forceps? There we go. Pull that. Oop. That did a lot of good, didn't it? We'll stick that back on there just so gas doesn't go everywhere. That's your vent, by the way. Okay. Now these little dudes comes out with, the easiest way to do it is it comes out with the cylinder. So I'm going to blow this off, so I'll be right back. Okay, I didn't blow it off a lot, just a little bit. All right, now let me get, where's that? I'm going to get in front of you here real quick because I need to get this little doohickey right here. Now you can use rope on these, you can use whatever you want. I'd much rather use plastic than anything else. Just stick that little puppy in there. Run her over there until she top ends. Like that. But what we got to find out is this clutch comes off forward like this. So what you got to do is we're going to put this on there, and it's a 3/4 inch socket. We're going to put it on there just straight down. Make sure you're going in the right direction. Put it in there straight down and just barely spin it. Make sure it's going, make sure your piston's already going up as you're turning it forward. Okay? Hold good pressure down on it. Make sure everything's nice and square and straight. And just tap it. Don't try to run it off. And see, that didn't work out too well. Let's try this again. Only do. Yeah, we got to go in there with the square one. Well, get in there far enough. I'm just going to stop it anyway. There she is. Okay, here we go. Square everything up. Tap it. Make sure everything's square again. And off she'll come. I do like those over the Husqvarnas. And then you got a little plate. Little plate that covers up the oil gear. Pop that back open. The oiler oiler pinion. And it just pulls up out of there. Looks like that. It's got little threads on it. So you gotta inspect those threads to make sure that it ain't all tore up. It looks good. Okay. Now I don't need to take all this off, so we're gonna leave that on there. But I do need to take this off. There's the little, what I was telling you about last time, the little cups that goes on there instead of the shoulder bolt. And that comes off. Yeah. Hey, hang on a minute. Let me blow that off of there. Be right back with you again. Okay, let's try this again, only different. There we go. That makes it a lot easier. And just pull up on this, and if you notice, if you got the cover on these things, they're kind of hard to get off because that comes all the way up into here. So if you got the cover off, or on rather, you got to kind of pull it off to the back just a little bit at an angle and down. Ew, nasty. So we're going to put that over here for right now. Now we're going to take this off. And that one is a 13 millimeter. Make sure you still got a good purchase on that. Now you got to remember that you got to take that out. You're going to go the opposite direction this time. You're actually going to go lefty-loosey. So you got to get that piston spinning back the other direction and then put your piston stop back in. And let it come up against it. Like that. Then take it off. Oops. Let's try that again. Only different this time. Ooh, that one's tight. Let's make sure I'm going in the right direction. Yep. Okay. There she went. There she went. Alrighty. Now we can put that back. I'd much rather use plastic than metal. They've got metal ones that you can put in there. I just don't care to use them. I'm going to spray some bolts off real quick. I will be right back. I'm going to let that compressor stop and I'll be back. Alright, compressor finally decided to shut off, so here we go. We're going to try to do this again. You don't really have to take this out for what I'm doing, but I'm going to test it anyway, so it really doesn't make any difference. Just makes things a little bit easier. That little screw there, you got to be careful. Make sure it goes right back into that cylinder again. Get these wires out of the way. Try not to cross thread it. It's very, very small threads. That's good there. Okay, that's all loose. Pull these wires up out of here so they're not in the way when we go to take it off. That's just dirty, isn't it? That's dirty. Okay. Now, if you remember, I busted my remember, I told you I did it wrong last time. So let's put this back on just a little bit. Run it down just a little bit, just till she's flush. Just enough to where I have enough to get it loose. Bring it back up just a hair. That'll work. Okay. Yep, dropping everything off my bench. Okay. Now, ooh, that one come off really easy. That's cool. Didn't even break anything. Yes, I know that is just a little bit overkill. Oh, good. Everything's still in good shape there. It's dirty, dirty, dirty. All right, we are ready to pull this engine up. Gotta get those screws out of there. Screws ain't wanting to come out. You gotta have the screws out in order to get the motor out, because it's got to come out at an angle. And with the screws in there, it doesn't want to do it. So you're gonna pull it up, twist it, and move it at the same time. Just a little bit out to the side. Be ever so gentle not to break anything. Oh, let's go ahead and move that bolt out of there. Okay. Take them off so they're not in our way. And there you go. Boy, look how nasty that is. These are oilers, by the way. That's the oiler. It's an oil pump. That right there. And that actually pushes in underneath that piece right there. You just take that screw out, and your hose is over here on this side, and there's an O-ring underneath of this. You just pull up and out, and it gets to a hole in there. And if you take a 10/32 bolt, long bolt, it screws down into the bottom of that tube, and you can just pull it out. Then if you clean all this off, if you look to put it back in, this shows you how to put it back in, which direction it's got to go. And it's also got to go down just a certain direction. So before you pull it out, take and mic it out, mic the distance out from the base down to the bottom of that cylinder or that pump. That way you know how far to push it back in whenever you push it back in. Little hint that I didn't do the first time and had to pull it out and measure the hole and everything. The first time I ever did one. So anyhow, we got that nasty thing off of there. Now let me blow this off and be right back. This doesn't have to be clean because we're gonna replace all the, well, that's different. We're gonna replace all the seals and everything on it anyway. This is something I haven't seen before. That little collar right there, or the little C-clip. Okay. So here's the rubber hammer again. That comes off. Looks like somebody's been in here. Because that, The last ones I pulled off didn't have any of that white on there. Maybe not. Maybe it's factory. I don't know. They sometimes use different stuff. Okay. Oh, that's why I pulled the cylinder. Because that bottom ring, and both rings actually, have been bypassing. All the way around the sides. It's not good. Kind of wondering if the pins are any good even. Yeah, there's a, you can't see it there, but there's supposed to be like 4/1000ths of an inch for every cubic inch of that cylinder bore, and that's probably well over 20 thousandths. Pretty easy. So they've been blowing by. I mean, it's blowing by on pretty much the whole piston. So that's not even heat. We'll check the bearing here. The bearing's good and solid. Doesn't have much twist on it. We're good. So that's all good. That's not heat. I mean, it's not gotten hot. It's just from crappy oil, probably being ran a year after it's had fuel setting in it, and just crappiness. It's not a big deal. At least it doesn't have a whole bunch of carbon built up on it. But that's done. Now let's look at this here. Yeah, let me blow the dirt out of it so I can see it. Boy, wasn't that loud. Well, it looks like the cylinder's in pretty decent shape. Yeah, some of the chrome's off of it. Yep. Some of the chrome's gone off of it. All in all, not real bad though. A little bit of carbon in the bottom of it. I don't know if you can see. I'll get this light up in here and let you see in there. Get the light shining on it best I can. Try not to shake you around so bad. Well, I need to get some batteries for my light. My light's about dead. But get it in there where you can see. I don't know if I can or not. Yeah, a little bit. I had it. Right there, right there. But yeah, cylinder's not bad looking. Really, I think we can use it back again. There's a little bit of chrome coming off maybe. No, not really. That's just where the piston lays. Wish I had a mic. I might buy me a mic because I've never used a mic on these to see if the bore is still round. I'm just assuming it is because I don't see a bunch of the chrome wore off anywhere. Just some scuff marks, just not, that's normal stuff. So I think we're going to use this. This would be good. Piston's done. So now what I got to do is I got to look and see what the price of all the seals and bearings are. Seals. This is, anytime you tear one apart, just replace the seals. These aren't bad. I mean, they're still pliable, but if you look right there's kind of all wore down. Just, they're cheap. Replace them. And this, I've never seen where it's had a ring on there before. So to get these rings off, what I used to do is take a pair of needle nose pliers, get your fingers out of the way, and push down. And then hopefully you see where it went when you took it off. There it is. That's all it is, just a C-clip. All it is. Just to keep that oiler from going down too far. And then, to get these bearings off of here, I'm gonna go get a little tool. I'll be right back. Alrighty, we'll use this little small one here, and probably these small ones here, because we're gonna need those, this, and this. These things are real cool. You ought to get you some if you don't have some already. You just open them up. My phone's going crazy. Just set them down in there. Best way. What I do is I put one on this side and one on this side. That way you always got something to push against. Try to run them down about the same amount. Be as even as you can. Sometimes you can be more even than others. And I just use a crescent wrench. I don't put anything powered on it. You can. But they usually pop off pretty easy, so you don't have to worry too much about it. Just take your time, make sure it's going down fairly even. Sometimes I use the bigger set on this just because it's got a better bevel on it. And I might end up doing that on this one as well. We'll see. If it pops, we'll keep on going. If it hangs up, we'll get the bigger one out. It's got a better bevel on it. This one looks like it's pushing though, so we're okay. Okay, once you get it underneath there decently, we want to get it further than that though. We want to go further. Get all the way up underneath of it. Best you can. Come over to the other side. Now these are coming off pretty easy, so I might be able to. Nope. Okay, so you screw these down here. Tighten them up. Don't leave them loose. May have to actually get the longer ones. Yeah, this might work. they'll work. Make sure it's nice and parallel. Tighten them up good and snug. Make sure these are tight. Notice those come loose a little bit. We don't want to pull on it sideways. And just start wrenching her down. This one's coming off real easy, so it's just a matter of not being able to pull it off by hand, but maybe just an extra little oomph is all. And there's your bearing out, just like that. Bearings really don't seem that bad, but we're going to replace them anyway. And now, you don't want to have to disassemble this whole tool, you just loosen these up. Loosen these back up again. That's about right. Okay. And you stick the other one under it. Work. Just like that. Give them a good snug. Ooh, way off on that one, aren't I? You want to try to stay as square as possible. Don't do like I just did and go way out of whack. So we're going to screw these down that in fairly decent. Now we'll just tighten these up. This is a lot easier to do with a ratchet, by the way, if you want to use a ratchet. It's just I always use I'd have to use a ratchet on this one. It's wanting to turn on me. There, she's starting to snug. This one's going to be a little tougher. Not much, just a little bit. I seem to like to do things the hard way, evidently. It's starting to get cold in here again. I'm going to have to check my fire here in a minute. Yeah, it's starting to come up now. Alrighty, we're underneath of it enough to get it going. Tighten these up good. Don't want those slipping. You get to let them slip, you'll end up pulling the threads out of them, and that's not good. And this is a cheap Pittsburgh set from Harbor Freight, so you know you're really not going to do a lot with it. But it works for these little motors. And there's your other bearing. Oh, that one's that one's pretty bad. That one's got some pretty good catches in it right there. So, yeah, that one's pretty bad. Alrighty, then you want to inspect everything. You know, since them came off pretty easy, you know there's probably not going to be anything wrong, or that they come on fairly hard. It wasn't like the last ones that I just pulled off by hand. So that's in pretty good shape. Let's test this again. Yep, no pressure. Alrighty, now these are some teeny tiny wrist pin keepers. And I'm going to try to do this without sticking it in my finger, which is not always, doesn't always work out for me. I'm going to try to get them down to this little place right there so I can get a hold of one end of them. And I think I'm going to end up using my little yeah, this may not work out for me too well. Nope. Alright, well, we're just going to pry them out of there then. We're going to be putting new ones in anyway. That's all that is, just a little keeper. Just teeny tiny one. This is just this little bitty cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and do both of them. Oop, that one went clear up here. Almost shot it across the room. Now, always put this in your hand. Put it where that wrist pin will go through your fingers, because you don't want to beat down where this pressurized on that. Pressurized. I can't believe I just said pressurized. You get what I mean. Make sure your punch is going to go all the way through the wrist pin hole and not get hung up inside the wrist pin hole. Like that. So we need to get a little bit smaller punch. Or in this case, we're going to go right to the edge of this, because we're going to get a new wrist pin and everything for it anyway. So I just and that one's out. And there's the bearing, wrist pin bearing. Still looks like it's in pretty good shape. Yeah, there's no bluing. It's just dark from the nasty fuel. But anywho, that's trash. We're not going to use it again. Actually, I don't know. I'll mic it out and we'll see, because I might actually use this again. Just put some new rings on it. I don't know. I don't see any kind of markings. Well, I went ahead and finished removing everything. This we're not going to use anymore. We're going to get a new piston. Cylinder's still good. This is still good. So, get to this. This will be replaced. Just if you go this far, replace this right here, because I want to show you something here, because this is what holds that on there. So replace this piece right here, which is a impulse line, because they've been on that hot cylinder, and that hot cylinder is going to make that all hard, and it'll eventually leak even if it isn't right now. And then replace this little rubber piece, this boot. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't really feel bad, but it's been on there for the life of the saw. It's gonna get hard and it's gonna crack eventually. And why bother? Because I mean, once we put this new cylinder on there, it's gonna go another, that saw is probably, I don't know, how old is this thing? Let's see if I can find anything on it to tell us how old it is. I don't know, it's probably, I'd say it's every bit of 10 to 15 years anyway. So I don't know. That's what I like about Husqvarna. Husqvarna's got their tag on everything where you can tell how old they are without too much trouble. Some of these have them on there, some of them don't. But oh well. But it's at least 10 to 12 years old anyway. And so the new cylinder, the new piston is going to last just as long. So why keep the old plastic on there? The old rubber, they're cheap. It's probably about, I can go aftermarket and it probably all of about $3. Even if I go through Stihl, it's only like $15, but still. But we're gonna replace it anyway. No comp. I like that. Like the hydraulic compression relief on there. And so we don't have to worry about any gasket sets because we got Moto Seal to put on it. Just need to buy the bearings, the bushings, piston, rings, wrist pin, bearings. I don't know if I'll put another oiler in it while I'm at it or not. Those oilers don't last very long, so I'll probably put another oiler in it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. New rubber, everything new rubber. Carburetor kit. So that's it for this one. Hopefully I'll be able to show you whenever I'm done with it and bring you back up. Y'all have a wonderful day. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.